Good morning, everyone. I welcome all the participants and our resource person, Honorable Dr. Sharvil Feroz sir, to the first session of Day 6 of our AICT IST sponsor online induction refresher program on innovation in concrete technology. I would like to introduce our today's resource person, Honorable Dr. Sharvil Feroz sir. Dr. Sharvil Feroz, PhD in Structural Engineering from IIT Bombay. He is founder of Infrastructure Risk Management, a company to help bridge owners avoid unexpected failures by analyzing their remaining life and proactively implementing service life extension strategies. He has published 17 journal papers and now writing a book on 120 years maintenance-free life for marine bridges. He has been a speaker at 2 international platforms, thrice delivered live telecast and deliberated on 13 national forums to share his technology with the authorities. Dr. Sharvil is involving with infrastructure project of remaining life analysis and providing maintenance-free life for new bridges. He is active on LinkedIn and connects with motivated people and clients. So let us begin our today's session on remaining life analysis and target life extension of infrastructures. I would like to request sir to start the session.
Very thank you, madam, for the. I always say, म्हणजे मी नेहमीच बोलतो की हर काम देश के नाम. So in that sense, whatever we are contributing to the field, okay, it is all for the nation, and with that, and with all of your support, I would like to begin my presentation. So before that, just let me know if you are able to see the screen. I will share now. Are you able to see the screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So before getting to the main topic of my presentation, okay, I will give you a kind of a background. You can also you can give your comments in the chat box also. How many of you, when you are going under a bridge, either walking or going through a vehicle, do not feel safe? Okay, I myself sometimes, when I'm walking under a bridge, I sometimes look up. Okay, will it fall or not? Okay. So that is how the situation has become these days. Okay. So basically, it is the fear of the unknown. We don't know when a particular bridge is going to fall. Okay. And why this mindset has come? Okay, because from the past 5 years, since 2016, there has been at least one bridge collapse in our country. Okay. Here are the few major events which had occurred. So in 2016, okay, here this was the Savitri River bridge collapse in Mahad. Then in 2017, there was a bridge collapse in Bihar, Araria. Then in Mumbai in 2018, and this is the Andheri bridge. Okay, and then this is the Junagadh bridge in 2019. So if you see, every year there is one collapse of bridge. Okay. So it is natural that we feel unsecured when we pass under a bridge or any, for that instance, any other infrastructure. Okay. So to help you with some statistics, you are aware that the Ministry of Road Transport and Highways, they have conducted one survey in 2017. It is called IBMS. Okay. So they conducted a survey of all the national highways, and they found out that in these national highways, 6,551 bridges, okay, which is close to 17% of all the national highway bridges, have become structurally deficient because of deterioration. Deterioration could be corrosion due to loss of strength of concrete, due to fatigue of steel. There could be many, loss of pre-stress. Okay, there could be many things. And out of these, 86% are below age of 49 years. Okay. Today, you know that we are talking about 100-year life for bridge 120-year life of bridge also we are talking about. But here you see 86% of the bridges are below 49 years. So what is the situation? Okay. Now, as I told you about deterioration, these deteriorations are very important if you want to know what is the condition of a bridge. Okay. And since this is a platform for innovations of concrete, to understand the deterioration is also one of the innovations. Okay. So let us understand a few basic deterioration cases which are very common. There are others also, and since we have a limited time frame of 1 hour for our presentation, this I'm going to present only about very limited technology. Okay. In 1 hour, it is not possible to cover everything for a given bridge, but you will get an idea of what kind of things are going on and so on. So this you can know here. First is basically 80% of the problems are due to corrosion only. Okay. Mostly, if you see, 80% are due to corrosion. So there is chloride-induced corrosion and there is carbonation-induced corrosion. If you go to a beach and observe the structures close to a seashore, you will find that there are a lot of corrosion is happening. Okay? Because that is because of the chlorides which are coming from the sea. They go and attack on the concrete. Okay? Then the second one is loss of strength of the concrete. If you build something at M20 grade of concrete now, okay, over 50 years the strength will reduce somehow, okay, because of other various attacks which are occurring. We have learned in our engineering that there is always an increase in the gain of strength of concrete, right? Okay, we have learned this, but why do we find that the strength decreases in the site? Because in our lab, when we are doing the testing, it is in perfect condition. There is no external attacks which are occurring. But when it is in environment, okay, there are a lot of attacks which are occurring on the concrete, and therefore there is a decrease in strength of concrete. Then this last one here is the loss of pre-stress of concrete. We are seeing a lot of pre-stress bridge, okay, but over time these strands lose their pre-stressing force over time, and this is a very big challenge in the industry today, because many bridges we have constructed are pre-stressed, but then we are not able to find out what is the existing level of pre-stress. Okay. So we have also developed technology for this, but again, this is limited to only remaining life analysis. So I'm not going to tell more about this. In the meantime, see, this is, let it be an interactive session. So if you have any doubt in between, and if you feel that it needs to be clarified, please interrupt me, okay, and ask me there itself, that if you have some kind of doubts, or if you feel that the doubt needs to be have a more discussion, then you can have it at the end of the session. Okay. Okay. Here, a very important statement. It says old infrastructures are deteriorating faster. Okay, because the degradation mechanism was not understood well at the time of construction and was not taken into account. So this statement, it very effectively highlights what is the problem in the current situation. Basically what it says is, when these old bridges or buildings or any dams were constructed, say 40 years back, we did not consider deterioration to be an important factor in its life cycle. What does it mean? That when we designed this structure, we did not take into consideration that in 10 years it is going to corrode, and then what will be the reduction in its capacity, that we did not account for. And you know that in simple language, if we do not consider a particular load on a bridge, okay, while designing, and when that load comes on the bridge, it fails. The simple logic is that this is a simple logic. So we did not consider deterioration to be an external load. Therefore, whenever a deterioration takes place, it causes failure of the system. Okay. So here in this figure, you can see what I am basically saying, that when I constructed this structure, okay, I considered that the performance is going to be same throughout its life. That is how we used to design, how we design the structures. We did not consider that the performance is going to fall down. Okay. Then the other issue is also that you know that when we are doing investigation of these bridges, we do visual inspection. But what happened in New Zealand, these engineers were going and doing inspection of the bridges. And one of the bridge, which is called the Sorrel Causeway Bridge, they also inspected that bridge. And it was very close to the seashore. And it was a pre-stressed concrete bridge. The engineers came and they saw, okay, everything is very nice. सगळं काही एकदम मस्त आहे. From visual inspection, they did not find out anything. But within 6 months, that bridge collapsed. Okay. When they investigated, so this is those pictures of that bridge. When they investigated, okay, they found lot of corrosion, and at some places the strands were also broken. But somehow on the external face, they did not see any visual signs. See this picture here. Okay. Anywhere you see, you will not find any kind of distress. Okay. These cracks, okay, these are after collapse. When the bridge collapsed, these cracks appeared. But before that, no signs of distress was seen. So this is also one issue. We cannot rely on the visual inspection always to check the condition of the bridge. Okay. This is also one of the reasons why the bridges have been collapsing. So what we learned here is two things. First thing is that we did not consider the deterioration in the design stage. Okay, and the second is visual inspections cannot be relied upon. So we need something better to do an assessment of the bridges. Okay. Let me share with you 3 points or 3 demands of the bridge owners. Recently I spoke with one of the PWD engineers, and they told me that we have so many bridges. The issue is we first of all we do not know what is the condition of the bridge. Since there are so many bridges, after how many bridges will run? Okay, so it is very difficult for us to tell if a particular bridge is it going to collapse. Is it safe? That we do not know. So always the first question which they have is that when will the particular bridge collapse? If you have a bridge, okay, will it collapse today, tomorrow, day after tomorrow, or will it collapse when I am standing below it? Okay, this is very fearful situation which is there today. Okay, and the second question which they ask is, if we want to extend the life of that bridge, okay, is it the right time to do the retrofit, or is it the right time to do a repair or rehabilitation of the bridge? I will tell you why this is important. See, first of all, bridge is so costly that you cannot directly go and replace it unless there is a complete collapse. So now, first of all, we want to save money because the government is saying we do not have enough money to spend. Okay, therefore, in minimum amount of money, how can we extend the life of the bridge? So the timing of retrofit is also very important. If the bridge is going to collapse tomorrow, okay, take an example. If the bridge is going to collapse tomorrow, okay, and if I have to do retrofit today, then what I'm doing essentially is I'm completely doing a complete rebuilding of the bridge. So the amount of money spent is more. Now suppose if I know 5 years back that my bridge is going to collapse 19th March 2021, okay, then I would have done repair at that time 5 years ago, and I would have spent very little amount of money to extend the life of the bridge. So the timing of the repair is also very important. So the timing decides the amount of money, because more the deterioration, more money you have to spend for doing the repairs. And thirdly, if I want to extend the life of the bridge for 10 years, what kind of rehabilitation scheme should I use? Now you might have this question, why I am including this here. I will tell you why. The reason is, what these PWD guys told me, that whenever we ask the contractor or the consultant, who are basically repair contractor or the repair consultant for bridges, and we ask them what will be the extension of life after you do the repair, they will say 5 to 10 years. Okay, you also heard this, right? That the repair contractor or the repair consultant will say याची लाईफ अजून आपण 5 ते 10 वर्ष वाढू शकतो. Okay, so 5 to 10 years will extend the life of this bridge. Okay. Now when the PWD asks them, is it 5 or is it 10? They say, okay, we'll take some average value. Okay. So this is, so even the contractors or the consultant, they themselves do not know if the life of the bridge, extension of the bridge, life extension of the bridge will be 5 years or 10 years. Okay. So we have to do something such that the whatever retrofit we are doing to the bridge, okay, its performance is such that it is in our hand to control it, so that we can provide exactly the repair which is needed to give exact life of 10 years or exact life of 20 years. Okay. This is very important, because ultimately what happens, as I told you, when we are standing below bridge, we think that it will fall down. It means that we do not have confidence in the bridge. Okay. So similarly, when the contractor says 5 to 10 years, it means that the contractor himself does not have confidence. Okay, and also we do not have confidence. So if we have a precise confidence on the life extended, that will be really helpful and beneficial to the country and to ourselves also, basically. Okay. So considering this background, okay, now I will go through the presentation. Okay, so basically what I am focusing on two things. The first one is the remaining life analysis, which answer the first point, and the target life extension. Target life extension of bridge means the kind of the scheme or kind of retrofit which will apply to the bridge, so that we will achieve exact value of extension of life. So if you tell me, if I am going to do a retrofit of the bridge, okay, and the tells me we want a life of 20 years, then I will give them a complete calculation and complete testing also of the bridge, which will show that the life extension is exactly 20 years. So that is something new and innovative, what we are doing as a innovations in concrete and technology. So before one slide, I always like to present about research. Okay, because research is very important, because when I first started my company, okay, and I went to the client and I told him this technology. He said, "ये चलेगा कि नहीं, हमको कैसे पता चलेगा?" Okay, very valid question. The client, first of all, he has been under so uncertain conditions. Okay, there has been bridge collapse. Now to try something new, there is always some kind of skepticism in our mind. Okay. So research here helps a lot. So we have to show. Then I showed this client. See, these are all the researches which has been done. All the technology is tried and tested, and that too also in IIT Bombay, where I did my PhD. And there is a systematic process through which all this technology is implemented. So then the client got convinced, okay, that yes, it is possible. So basically, in this research, what we did, we studied and developed the deterioration functions for concrete as well as steel, and how is it going to behave over a period of time. And then we also did more of our studies, but here I will just focus on corrosion and how to do retrofitting. And ultimately, what we did, we formulated the methodology of remaining life analysis. So, in short, remaining life analysis is kind of a Jaram Kundali of the bridge. Okay. So, we predict in future when it is going to collapse. Okay. So, it is kind of a Janam Kundali of the bridge, where we know when it is going to need repair, when it is going to collapse, and so on. So, my company, we are specialized into 4 sectors. One is, of course, remaining life analysis, which I am going to talk about. Then maintenance free design. This I talked in the FTP number 1. Okay. Then this is life cycle management. Okay. And today's another topic is the target life rehabilitation. So these two things, remaining life analysis and target life rehabilitation, I will be talking today. So before going to remaining life analysis, okay. So before going to this, if you have any doubts, please let me know. You can put it in the chat box, or you can directly raise a question to me. Okay. So if there are any no more questions, then let me know. Then I can proceed.
You can proceed, sir.
Okay, thank you. So before going to remaining life analysis, let us understand the difference between a structural audit and a remaining life analysis. Okay. You are very much aware about the structural audit. Okay. So structural audit is something which we do periodically, and we check what is the condition of the bridge. But if you think very critically on a structural audit, you would come to the conclusion that even after all the structural audit, all the formalities of structural audit we are doing, okay, we are doing inspection every 3 years or 2 years, okay, then even though, why are the bridge collapsing? If the structural auditing we are doing properly, then why is still the bridges are collapsing? So the fundamental what should I say? Fundamental problem of a structural audit, okay, is that it doesn't tell us the future of the bridge. Okay. It just tells what is it today. So if you check this figure on the right here, this is the figure which shows what is the structural audit. Okay. So initially, okay, the structure is new. Okay. Because we did not consider deterioration to take place in our design, we consider that the performance of the bridge is flat. Flat means it is non-degrading. Okay. Then when we do our first structural audit, we find that, oh, the bridge has degraded. So we get it down. The performance, we get it down. Okay. So this is the present performance of the bridge. Then again, because we do not know how to, because our general engineering community does not consider deterioration to take place, again the performance is flat here. And when we do the second structural audit, we again find out the bridge has degraded, and we then bring that performance down. So you see that between these two structural audits, here time T1 and here time T2, if we are not able to predict how the bridge is going to behave over time, then if that bridge collapsing between this time T1 and T2, we are completely unaware, because the structural audit is not able to provide us with the prediction of the future behavior. So this is the basic problem with the structural audit. So even if you are doing structural audit, it does not prevent the bridge from failing or collapsing. You cannot tell from a structural audit when the bridge is going to collapse. Okay. Whereas on the right hand side, if you see, in remaining life analysis, it shows you a continuous behavior, degrading behavior of the bridge. So what it helps you, it tells you precisely at what time there is an end of service life, which can be either the collapse of a bridge or when the bridge would require its first repair. So that is how remaining life analysis is a more better way of doing an assessment than a structural audit. Okay. So now to determine a life of a bridge, okay, we need to first identify what are the critical deteriorating factors for a particular bridge. Let us consider this bridge is there. Okay. Then you have heard about the limit state of collapse, limit state of serviceability, right? So these same limit states we are going to use, but in a better way. See, you are aware of these 4 conditions. Limit state of cracking is there, limit state of deflection, limit state of shear, and limit state of flexion. Now these first two are called the limit state of serviceability, and the second two are the ultimate limit states. So depending on what kind of situation you are handling, say, let me give you an example, perfect example I'll give you. Whenever you see a crack in the bridge, okay, then you you go for a repair. So appearance of a crack on a bridge is the signal that the bridge requires some repair. So you can have a limit state of cracking here as a considering the end of the service life. Okay. Then suppose your criteria is that there should not be much deflection of the bridge. So that could be your end of service life. Whenever that bridge crosses over a certain exceptional deflection, that is the end of life. Or you can have shear or flexure. Similarly, you can find. Now the important thing is to predict when this cracking or when this deflection will happen. Okay, that is most important. That is where the remaining life analysis come into play. Okay. So I will share with you one project. Directly share with you one project which I did during my PhD itself. So this we took as a study for the PhD, and where we implemented all these technologies. Okay. So this you can see very simple bridge is there. It is a slab bridge supported on masonry piers. So we are focusing on this slab bridge itself, and this is 6 meter span, and 230 mm deep span is there, 230 mm slab thickness, and reinforcement 25 mm running both sides. So first of all, we need to first find out what is the strength of the concrete, because if you want to find the structural performance, two components we need to see. One is concrete, one is steel. So both we need to study to find how it is going to degrade. So here in this first stage, what we did, we had to first identify what is the strength of concrete. Not just strength. Okay. We need to find the characteristic strength, FCK, or the grade of concrete. Okay. Is it M20? Is it M50? So on. In conventionally, what people are doing, they will bring hammer. Okay. They will do ultrasonic pulse velocity. They will do hammer, rebound hammer. They will take some cores randomly somewhere. Okay. But by doing all of this, okay, nobody has ever done the estimation of characteristic strength. What we just report, we just find out average value of rebound hammer, average value of ultrasonic pulse velocity, and average core strength. And that too, very few cores are taken, 3 cores, 4 cores. Okay. Now, if I take only 3 cores, okay, how am I going to find the characteristic strength? Okay, because if you see IS 10262, it says that minimum 30 concrete samples are required if I want to find out the good estimate of concrete strength. But here, if we are taking only 3 concrete sample, it is very difficult. I would say impossible to find the characteristic strength. Okay. So we thought of doing some intelligent idea. Okay. So what we did, we thought of some strategy. Okay, that let us do a very strategic testing of the bridge. So this is the concrete deck. Okay, what we what we decided to do is let us form a grid. Okay. Now the advantage of forming a grid is that we are able to capture the concrete properties at different locations. And once we are done this, there is a technique called kriging. Okay. This is a technique which gives us the spatial variation. Okay. If we take measurement at certain locations, certain grid points, for example, these grids we have taken, and we feed that to that computer program, okay, it gives us the variation of the strength over the concrete deck. Okay, this is the first thing. This was done through ultrasonic pulse velocity. So all these grid points were tested with ultrasonic pulse velocity. Then now it was time to decide where to take the concrete cores. Okay. because ultrasonic pulse velocity does not give you strength. Okay, but it tells you how the concrete strength varies over concrete properties vary over time over the different points. But strength we get only through concrete core. So we developed one software, okay, which tells us. Uh, so we give the input of ultrasonic pulse velocity in this format, okay, to that software, and the software will itself find, it will tell you at which spot it is best to take the concrete course. So for example, now these blue spots were the initially what we decided to take the course from. Okay, this was not the software output, but once we give all of this detail to the software tells us that this is the optimum location of the core. Okay. So that is how we decided to take the course. Okay. This is known as guided coring because it was guided by the NDT test. Then once we have taken the course, okay, we need to establish a relation between UPV and the core crushing. Okay. Because only 9 cores were decided. Okay, 9 core selection was done. But again, IS 10262 again says 30 concrete samples. Okay. So we need to first establish a relation between UPV and the concrete core. Okay. So this is the relation between UPV and concrete core strength which we established. You can see there is a lot of variation. So these red spots, they are the actual data points, and there is a lot of ups and downs, right? There is no smooth line. So it was necessary that we capture the variation also, this scatter or the scatter which is called here. Okay. So now what has happened? We have established a relation between concrete crushing and the ultrasonic pulse velocity. Okay. So now if you understand, then basically we are finding out the strength of concrete at every UPV point which we have done. Okay. So thus we are automatically satisfying the codal requirement of 30 concrete samples automatically without doing the concrete testing itself. So by doing this, we formulate the distribution and the 5 percentile value, which is the characteristic strength or grade of concrete that we are able to establish. So here we have established the concrete strength properties complete, which is the FCK, okay, which is the most important thing. Okay. Now we come to the steel part. Steel, we found that the reinforcement work, there is a lot of corrosion was there. Okay. So considering corrosion, it means that the rebar section, the cross section of the reinforcement will continuously go on reducing. And you know that when the rebar cross section reduces, basically its load carrying capacity goes down. Okay. So to identify this, how fast the corrosion is taking place, we again thought of doing a strategic testing. Let us say we divided the concrete span into 3 parts, L by 3, L by 2 and 2L by 3. And these are the reinforcements which are passing through, and the black spots are the locations where we wanted to do the test. Now what kind of test to do? See, we want to find out how fast the reinforcement is corroding. So this test is called linear polarization resistance test, okay, or also you can call it as corrosion rate test. Okay. So when you do the testing at these points, okay, it gives you the rate of corrosion or how fast that particular reinforcement is corroding. But this test is quite costly. Okay. So it was not possible to do at many locations. So we just did these 3 locations where we had our most interest. And then using the kriging method, which I told you, we are able to establish what is it will be the corrosion at each and every point here. So this figure you can see where it is very dark or red, those spots are corroding very fast. Where it is showing light color, the corrosion rate is not that much fast. Okay. So we have established a complete map of the corrosion rate of the bridge. So now we know what is the corrosion rate which is going to take place, and using these measurements of corrosion rate, we use these readings to update the corrosion model. So in this, what is corrosion model? This is a model which tells you what will be the loss of steel over time. So there are a few models available in the engineering knowledge which tells you how fast the steel is going to lose its cross section area. But there is a limitation that these models are limited to only they were developed in the lab. So when we apply these models to actual site projects, they fail miserably. But their physics is correct. That is one thing is sure, that the physics is correct, but the trend is not wrong. The trend is not correct. Okay. So what we did, we collected this corrosion rate data from the bridge itself and used that to update these corrosion models through Bayesian updating. So Bayesian updating is one of the technique which I am using very often. Okay, which it is used to update the corrosion model. So now you see, this is a realistic model of the bridge now. Since we have updated that model with actual measurements, this is a realistic model. So now it tells you over time. So this is the x-axis is the years, y-axis is the loss of steel. Over the time, how the loss of steel is going to take place. So we have identified the deterioration model for the bridge. How the bridge is going to perform over time, that we have identified. And this is very powerful. Once you have identified how the bridge is going to deteriorate over time, you are in full control and you have the complete power to do all kinds of rehabilitation with minimum money to do the repair and extend the life of the bridge. Okay. So now we need to decide the limit state. This bridge, okay, was governed by the limit state of flexure. You see, it is a slab bridge. So mostly the most governing factor will be the flexure or bending moment. Okay. So we got a IRC truck to IRC truck load on this bridge. Okay. We measured, considered this limit state of flexure, found out the most critical bending moment, which is of course at the mid span because it is a simply supported span. Okay. This is then the limit state of flexure we have formed. Okay, so limit state of flexure is this MR is the moment of resistance of the bridge. Okay. So moment of resistance consists of two parts. One is concrete strength and the second is how the steel is going to corrode. Now, for simplicity, what we did, we considered that whatever concrete strength which we found out in this investigation, we consider that to remain the same. Okay. But we considered the loss of steel of reinforcement, okay, that to be a function of time. So the reinforcement cross section area that goes on continuously reducing over the next few years. Okay. So that is the assumption what we made. Of course, this assumption also can be overcome if in the next 2 years I again measured the concrete strength, then I know how the concrete variation is going to take place over time. Okay. But that is also possible to do. And this MQ is the external load. I told you, right, the IRC truck which we got on the bridge, that is the load, that is the bending moment induced by the IRC truck. Okay. Now this limit state equation is solved using probability distribution functions. So what we did, we represent the structural capacity of the bridge in terms of this beta. This beta is known as the reliability index. And reliability index is related to the probability of failure also. So how is it related? So high the probability of failure, low will be the reliability, and low will be the probability of failure, high will be the reliability. So it has the same meaning as being reliable. To be more reliable, to be less reliable, same. So this, if you want more details about it, you can contact me personally also. I will tell you. But for now, you understand that this is a structural performance. So you see, over time, now we are having a degrading performance of the bridge. Okay. So this, the reliability of the bridge goes down as time passes by. Okay. Now we need two things of which are very important to us. First of all, we should know when the bridge will collapse. And the second thing is, when should we do the repair of this bridge? Okay. So we fixed two criteria here. You see here, this solid line here, red solid line, is for beta equal to 2.5. Okay. This means that it is unfit or it will collapse. These values are being established in the recent codes now. So they have been fixed that if the reliability crosses this value, it is a collapse of the bridge. So now, wherever this line, blue line, intersects our this solid red line, that is the time when the bridge is going to collapse. So here, if you see, it gives you some 10 years. So when we did this investigation, after that, the next 10 years, the bridge is going to collapse. But of course, we will not allow this bridge to collapse. So we need to do a repair. So for repair, we have another value of 3.3 here. So here, this is the dotted line. So wherever this blue line intersects this dotted line, that is the time of the repair. So what we told the client here was that today we are doing the investigation, but in the next 2.7 years, you should do the repair of the bridge. If you do the repair of the bridge, then it is possible to extend the life of the bridge beyond 10 years. Okay. Okay, did you understand everything? So this is how it is really useful. Remaining life is really useful to tell you when the bridge is going to collapse or when you should do the repair of this bridge. And it is very important to know that our PWD engineers, our highway engineers also, they are started adopting these technologies now. That is really because initially there is kind of a mentality that they are very resisting to adopt new technology. But that is changing now. And I should really congratulate the PWDs also because they are adopting and really they are doing the service to the nation. Because if they do not agree, how will this technology help them? So ultimately, if you need help, then you first need to help yourself. That is the thing. So they need to understand how it is really helpful for them, and then it is really basically everything is for the nation. Har kaam desh ke naam. That is what I would like to say here. Yeah. So before going to the next topic, okay, if any questions are there, let me know. If you have any questions, if you have any doubts. If no, then I will proceed. Can I proceed then?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. Okay. So let us come to the final part, which is known as the target life rehabilitation or target life extension. We want complete confidence. Okay. We or the PWD engineers or the bridges, we want to be very confident that this bridge will last for exactly 17 years or exactly 20 years. Okay. That is something confidence which we require. See, because ultimately what happens? When we are spending so much money, say at least 20 crore rupees also if you are spending for doing a repair of a bridge, okay, if you are spending so much money and the bridge will require another repair in 3 years, what is the use of the 20 crore rupees? Okay. Just take a small example. If we purchase a washing machine, we ask, right, what is the guarantee, what is the warranty? And they will say if after 5 years it will, if within 5 years if anything happens, then we'll do replacement in free of charge. If it crosses 5 years, okay, then then you have to bear on your own, something of that kind. But they are giving us a lifetime, 5 years. Okay. For 5 years, everything is going to work perfectly. Similarly, if we don't have a confidence in our bridge repair that it is going to last for 15 years, okay, or say very specific number, 17 years, then we have confidence and then we can justify that we are spending 20 crore rupees and the repair will last for 20 years, okay, then we are satisfied. And if it fails before that, then the contractor should do something or the consultant should do something. Okay. So this is very important. So now let us come to the concept wise. So as I told you, structural performance is there and it is degrading over time. Okay. Now we have we have found out in the previous section what is the time of the repair. So now we found that this is the time when we should do the repair. So here we did some repairing and the performance is come up again. So our current consultants and current contractors, they are limited only to this point only. Okay. So client will come, approach them, and then they will do the repairing and that's it. They know how up they have gone in terms of structural performance, but they do not know how long that repair is going to last. Okay. So what my company is adding further to this is this part. Okay. What we do, we say we do the repair rehabilitation of the bridge, plus we also give you the confidence of the life of the repair. So if you tell me I want the bridge to have an extended life of 20 years, okay, so this part here, this is going to have a life of 20 years, then accordingly, considering the performance of the repair or deterioration of the repair over time of 20 years, we do the corresponding kind of repair. Okay. Concept is very simple, but people, existing people who are there, they are not doing it, probably because of a lack of knowledge or they don't know how to handle such kind of situation. But this is very simple concept. Okay. And it is very essential for you that if you are doing something, okay, it also gives enhanced value to your money, because see here in this part you are spending the money but you do not know what is the expectancy of life for that repair. Now whenever you tell me 20 years and if the cost is 20 crore rupees, then you say okay, it is justified, it is giving me a life of 20 years, and if anything happens before that, nothing will happen. But if something happens before that, then the contractor should take care of the things. Okay. Very simple concept. So this is one project. Before getting so what happens, taking any new technology to the bridge, okay, they first ask, have you done a case study of this, have you done executed actual project of this or not? Okay. So this project, this is not a bridge, this is a building project. Okay. But since this was the first implementation of the technology where we did, okay, so I am showing it here for you. And after this, once this technology has been established, then the bridge owners, they are taking very much interest into this. Okay. So what happened in this hospital? Okay, it was in very bad state. You can see here. This is one of the column, and it was degraded completely. Okay. concrete strength was just 5 MPa. Okay. Steel was also corroded. Lot of breakages were also there. Okay. But this was a hospital building and there were many patients. Huge demand was there. So the client said, instead of doing a demolition, let us do a rehabilitation of this bridge, of this building. Okay. And we want a life of 15 years, because after 15 years we'll think of demolishing this building. But for now, let us have a life of next 15 years. So this was very specific demand from the client. The client themselves told that we want a life of 15 years, plus you should also give us the proof, or so the engineering calculation which will prove to us that yes, this will, the repair what you are going to do will last for the next 15 years. Okay. So uh, so this is the schematic. Okay, we did lot of testing. We found out the concrete strength. Okay, through which I have already explained to you. Okay. Now the thing was to identify the deterioration parameters. We found out two deterioration parameters. One was the chloride induced corrosion, which was prevalent under the foundation level. So there was lot of chlorides in the soil. This was causing corrosion in the foundation. So first we had to identify how much is the chloride. Okay. So what we did in the foundation, what was excavated, we did the so-called chloride profiling. In chloride profiling, we found out the concentration of chlorides at each and every depth of the concrete. So we came to know what is the amount of chlorides at the surface of the concrete. So on surface of the concrete, we had so much amount of chloride, say 1.3 percent mass of the concrete. Okay. So this was the amount of chlorides which was existing, that we found out. And second, also we found out the for the above the structural components which are above the ground. Okay. Carbonation was the main issue of corrosion. So we found out, we tested a lot of samples for carbonation depth, and we found out what is the amount of carbonation rate of the concrete. So we found out two things. First, the chlorides which are existing in the soil and how fast they are going to penetrate through concrete. And the second thing is the rate of carbonation of concrete. These two things we found out, which were the deteriorating factor and causing corrosion. So once you have determined these parameters, now you are in a very good position to tell, when you do the repair, once you do the repair, how these parameters are going to affect your repair. And once you control this behavior, you can easily achieve a life of 15 years, what the client demands. Okay. In certain situations in the hospital itself, okay, some columns need to be increased axial load capacity. So that was done through wrapping them through fiber wraps. Okay. So some columns were also wrapped in addition to concreting. Some of them were also wrapped to enhance their axial capacity. Now FRP itself, okay, it is very resistant to corrosion, but it is very susceptible to moisture. So if my FRP comes in contact with moisture, the resin kind of dissolves and its strength reduces. Okay, so you can see here figure on the right. Okay, what it shows is the capacity on y-axis is the capacity of the FRP. Okay, and on the x-axis is the lifetime service life. So when the moisture comes in contact with FRP, you can see here the blue line. Okay, the tensile strength of the FRP goes down. Plus, the FRP is also bonded to the concrete. Okay. So this here on the left side, if you see, this green is the FRP, the red is the epoxy, and the gray part is the concrete. So this epoxy, when it comes in contact with moisture, its strength, bonding strength also reduces over time. So now you see, we are also giving a performance of the FRP over time. So now, when the client says to me a life of 15 years, considering this behavior, deterioration behavior, reduction of strength of FRP over time, okay, we are in a complete position to tell them, see, for 15 years, okay, your material is going to degrade, but its performance will always remain above your acceptable limit. And this is how we ensure for exactly 15 years it is going to serve the purpose. Okay. So this is some of the pictures. This is the section of the hospital building which was done. As I told you, some sections required FRP wrapping also. So this silver here on the bottom, you can see this is the FRP. Okay. And this is the concrete section which was enhanced, or concrete jacketing was done for this part. So in the concrete jacket parts, so in the concrete jacket part, you can see here, or this figure also, where it is open to the environment. So carbonation will keep on attacking it. And you know that when the carbonation reaches the reinforcement, the corrosion will start. So we design this in such a way that only after 15 years the carbonation will reach the reinforcement level. So before 15 years, there will be absolutely no corrosion of the reinforcement. So this is how we ensure that for 15 years the life will be achieved perfectly. See, this is very powerful here. Okay, you can see that the technology is so powerful. Okay, it gives you confidence, plus uh, it also gives you the return of investment. So whatever money you invested for repair, it guarantees that yes, that money which you spent has been really spent in a very good project. So finally concluding my session today. So this is whole life cycle management. So when you consider, okay, a bridge which is there, which was constructed a long time back, and a long time back means that when it was designed, deterioration was not considered in its design stage. Okay. So therefore, it is going to degrade. The performance of the bridge is going to degrade, and through investigation of the bridge, we are able to predict, or we are going to know how that bridge is going to deteriorate over time, or basically we are able to know what is the remaining life of the bridge. So as per this first estimation here, this will be your remaining life, which is shown here, is the remaining life. But we do not go up to the remaining life completely. Okay. We do repair and rehabilitation. Okay. Before that, in the first project I showed you that we do not go until the collapse, but we do a rehabilitation at a higher level. So here we have done the rehabilitation. Okay. Now, when the client specifically tells you that I want an extended life of 10 years, so this 10 years, okay, so this between 10 years, I should do a repair in such way, this blue line, that my repair or rehabilitation should last for 10 years. And this is considering again the performance, degradation performance of the repair itself. Okay. And then this is the second repair where we do, and then this will the complete end of life. So this part beyond the original life or original remaining life, this is known as the extended life. Okay. Now you could ask me why these two repairs are done here. Okay. Can't we do just one repair and then this will have a complete life here? Yes, of course we can do that. But what happens sometimes when the client does not have that much amount of money to do a complete repair, then they would say that right now we have just say X amount of money. With this, how much life you can give us? Okay. So then for that kind of repair, what we do, we estimate what will be the life of that repair. So we tell them that with this amount of money, you will get a life of say 7 years. Now the rest 3 years are balanced. So when these 7 years are finished, okay, Then we do another repair of 3 years, additional life of 3 years. By that time, the client will also have acquired the money required to do the repair, and they will also have extended the life of the structure. Okay. So this is how the entire thing works very well. So this is really an innovation in terms of concrete technology, because if you see, we are basically controlling the behavior of the concrete. If we are able to design the concrete in such a way that we are able to control its performance over the next whatever life it may be, so it giving a really revolution to the industry. Okay. And no wonder it will save your money. Okay. And plus it will give you confidence. So thank you. I end my session here. Now let us take questions if you have.
Participants can ask question to sir.
Good morning, sir.
Hello, sir. Good morning.
Myself Sandesh. I am from Bangalore.
Yes.
It was a very nice session. I am also doing PhD on retrofitting. So actually, it was a very nice session. My question is, sir, as we know, through the carbonation, the corrosion is going to occur. How you are going to exactly say it will be last long for 15 years? How you are going to express to the client? How they will come to know it will be there for 15 years exactly?
So sorry, can you repeat your question? There was some disturbance.
Yes, sir. Actually, through the carbonation, once as when the FRPR wrapping done, you said carbonation will not enter for 15 years. That how you are going to express to the client, how they will come to.
So here I will say two things. First of all, convincing the client is very important.
Yes, sir.
How do you convince the client? That is very important. So first, let us say always the client is always convinced when we show to them that there is going to be so and so saving in money for you. Okay. If you are able to establish that, then the client is easily convinced. Okay. Then the second thing, is we need to show them the research. As I told you in my presentation also, I told I always present research, one slide always to research I give, because the client will always tell you, how do you know that this is working? Okay. So when you present to them that yes, in this research has been done, IIT stamp is there and so on. Okay. So they are convinced easily. Okay. Then the third thing is that how do you show to them that this is going to last for 15 years? Okay. Of course, there are engineering reports what we generate. Okay. So in my company, we give them the engineering calculations also along with the so it at the end it proves to them that there is this is the life of 15 years. Okay. So considering carbonation in my research at PhD, okay, we tested lot of concretes, and in that we saw how that concrete is going to behave in different kind of environment. Plus the projects which I have already done, okay, we are also doing continuous monitoring of these projects. See, money is not a very important thing in this issue. Okay. What more valuable is the research outcome what you get. So these projects which I have already done, we are continuously monitoring them, and we are also verifying them how that material is going, how that project is behaving under actual environment. Okay. And thus we are verifying our research and our implementation. Okay. So this the so-called deterioration analysis what we give, we also give them in an engineering report format to the client, and thus we are able to tell them that see, this is the life achieved. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, it's okay, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, sir.
Sir, there is a one question.
Mm-hmm.
Can we find out remaining service life of existing RC building considering the corrosion effect?
Absolutely. We can find out.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your wonderful session.
Building. Then there is one more question by Umesh. Please explain corrosion monitoring method to find out the strength of building. That is NDT method. So for corrosion monitoring, so I guess you are talking about reinforced concrete structure, right? Because corrosion is also monitoring for steel structures also and for reinforced concrete. So I consider that it is a reinforced concrete structure. So corrosion monitoring, I would say first we need to establish what is the reduced cross section of the reinforcement now presently and how fast it is deteriorating. Okay. So this can be done through the LPR method which I showed you, okay, or corrosion rate method. The second instance is there are some magnetic methods or some thermographic methods are also there. And latest also I have seen gamma ray imaging techniques have also been coming up, which will actually show you what is the corrosion level inside the reinforced members. Okay. So you are able to see how is the level of what is the level of corrosion which is going to take place. So these are some of the techniques through which you can monitor the strength, not the strength, but the corrosion condition of the reinforcements. Yes, I hope that answers your question.
Okay.
Any more questions are there?
No, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir, for conducting such an informative session on remaining life analysis and target life extension of infrastructures. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much for inviting me. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.